And welcome to Talk of the Town. My name is Lisa Dascoli, and we are here again this month in our wonderful Nutley, New Jersey studios on broadbandboxoffice.com. And, of course, I have my wonderful co-hosts, Annie Weiss and Richard Skipper. And Richard walked away for a second, but he's here.
I'm here.
We're going to have a phone interview this evening with the magnificent David Meulemans, who's going to be performing at their Metropolitan Room on August 22nd. And we'll talk to him in a moment. But let's catch up amongst ourselves, first of all. So, Annie, how's life? How are things going?
It's going good. I'm a comedian, so I'm doing a lot of shows, which thank God. You know, I'm booking work, auditions, very cool. But mostly what I'm most excited about is J-Swipe. Do you know what that is?
No, please help me.
J-Swipe is Tinder for Jews.
I see.
I am in my glory.
Okay.
Oh my God, I am so excited.
Okay.
I just swipe right. I swipe them all, and they're all doctors and lawyers, and I'm going to make my mother very happy.
I'm sure. Betty. Oh, it's 8:00, so Betty is listening to us at this point because I know
Jeopardy's over.
When we were on at 7:00, she wouldn't listen to us except in the replay because we were interrupting her Jeopardy time.
That is correct, and she only sits on the edge of the coffee table because she doesn't want to sit on the new couch because she might smudge it.
Right. Of course, it has to remain pristine.
Right, and she refuses to put plastic on it because that's tacky.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not allowed to sit on the couch. It's just for show.
I understand. Well, my family is going through something a little different because at this point my mother is breaking up the houses. She's going to be selling the family house. And,
okay.
Everything is worth something.
Even when it's not worth anything.
No, but someone will buy this.
Yes.
And I
my
don't know
God.
who that someone is, but she's determined that even the old cups from Burger King are worth something. And I keep trying to tell her, no, it's not worth anything.
My mom's going through the same thing. She just had a garage sale.
Oh, no.
She only sold a couple of things, but now she keeps going to the Goodwill to buy more things to sell.
Yes,
I don't know. I don't know what her deal is, but she's happy and she's watching Jeopardy. My mom's a teacher, so I'm really looking forward to her going back to work.
Are you? Yeah, I'll be going back to my regular fall job very soon too, and it's quite funny because teachers go through the same thing as the kids do. Oh no, it's almost Labor Day,
and then your stomach drops like it's the first day of school, and you're dragging your feet. Yes. Teachers go through the same thing.
Well, I'm trying to get David on the phone, but he gave me a wrong number.
So
David, if you're listening, please, I keep pushing the number, and some poor guy, I've called him 3 times. So, David, where are you? Are you listening?
That could be disconcerting, Richard. This poor guy.
I know. I've called him 3 times trying to get David on the phone.
He probably thinks it's some sort of a pickup line
I know,
at this point.
I know.
That's not right. Well, we'll still talk about David because he does have a show coming up on August 22nd, as we said, at the Metropolitan Room. And it's called Lucky to Be Me. And it's directed by Sally Mays. So there's a lot. I can't wait for him to get...
With musical director Tex Arnold.
Beautiful.
It really is a wonderful show. I saw the show when he was last at the Metropolitan Room earlier this year in May. And the show was so wonderful, they've asked him back.
That's wonderful. Nice. Don't you love that, getting rehired?
A few of our former guests are coming back to the Metropolitan Room. We were talking off air, Richard and I know that Gretchen Reinhausen is coming back, and I'm so... Reinhagen, excuse me. I've too many names in my head. But I am a huge fan of Gretchen, so I'm looking forward to that as well. I know that you are most excited because Julie Budd is coming.
Yes.
To
Oh
the
my God.
Metropolitan
I
Room.
have to tell you, to all the listeners out there, Julie Budd has a new CD, which is coming out on September 1st.
Okay.
Right.
It's called Remembering Mr. Sinatra.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
I guess if there's anyone out there who doesn't know who Mr. Sinatra is,
They
Google
have
them.
been
in trouble.
Yeah, they've been living under a rock, so therefore, yes, I think everybody knows that. That'll be nice because we'll have that CD for our next program, which is September 9th. So we'll look forward to that.
We're going to... There's David.
Hey,
There's David.
Meulemans. Oh, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We're good. We were afraid we weren't going to be able to reach you on the air, so now we have you. So, David, August 22nd, Metropolitan Room. Tell me about the show.
Oh my gosh, lucky to be me. It's a show that I've kind of dreamed about for almost 2 years now. I was so excited to bring it back to New York in May for the first time, and excited to bring it back now. It's the American Songbook, about 100 years of music, arrangements all done for me by Tex Arnold and Sally Mays, and it's an hour for me to count my blessings and be happy with my life.
That's such a lovely
I love that.
attitude. Yes. Now, what drew you towards the American Songbook? What brought you to that genre of music?
I really have to say it was my time at the International Cabaret Conference at Yale University about 4 years ago, where I was introduced to cabaret and the concept of American Songbook as really, a list of songs from which to choose. I had lived in the opera world and in the Broadway musical world for quite a long time, though I always wanted to sing standards. So here we are.
Now, what's your background? Are you operatically trained? Where do you come from musically?
Yes, I've got a bachelor's degree in vocal performance from a private conservatory in my hometown, Appleton, Wisconsin.
Midwest boy.
Yeah.
A Midwest boy, yes. Grew up in the farmlands and all that stuff, and always thought, gee, wouldn't it be awesome if I could have my own show in New York City?
When did you come to New York?
Well, I visit frequently. I live in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
My first solo performance in New York was in 2011. About 4 months after my experience at Yale, I had a show ready to go, and I made my debut in New York at Don't Tell Mamas.
Now, David, if I can interrupt,
Of course.
David, you just appeared in St. Louis, and you opened for Christine Ebersole, and you appeared with Marilyn Maye, so you're doing pretty well for yourself.
I'm a very lucky man. That's why we called this show Lucky to Be Me.
I think it's wonderful that you have such an attitude of gratitude, if, pardon the pun, but I think that's wonderful that you are so gracious about these opportunities that are coming your way.
And if anyone else... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, actually, an attitude of gratitude was the basic concept behind this show, because Sally Mays made a very similar observation about me. She said, if you put this song together, or this show together, to make it be about you, we're going to look at counting blessings and this whole idea of gratitude, and that really is what's behind all of this.
And audiences need to come in also, David, to understand what happens when a great singer, such as yourself, crosses a pink gorilla.
Pink gorilla?
Well, that whole situation really came out of a discussion I had when someone asked me in an interview what was the best experience you'd ever had musically and what was the worst. And the situation with the pink gorilla was definitely the worst. I don't know if I should tell the story or make people come and see it.
No, I think you should tell the story.
You should tell the story, but you should leave everyone hanging. Don't tell them the punchline. They have to come to see what happens.
Well, let me just tell you this. I had moved to Fort Lauderdale in 1998. And shortly after that, I decided I was going to work my way into the professional music business down here. So I strolled into a singing telegram shop one afternoon and said, I want to sing. And they said, okay, sing. And I did a little off-the-cuff a cappella number for them. I got hired, and they said, come back tomorrow. We're going to send you out on your first gig. And when I returned, they handed me a fluorescent pink gorilla suit.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no. Were you aware of this, or were you aware of what this was this was going to be about, or you had no...
I had no idea. I mean, my picture of a singing telegram, I thought maybe I'd be in a tuxedo or something.
What was the song that clinched the deal? I'd like to know. Do you remember the song?
I sang Some Enchanted Evening for
beautiful.
them. It happens to be one of my favorite songs.
That's a great one.
Well, it's very funny. When I came to New York, I also did singing telegrams for a company called Eastern Onion. In the early 80s, this was the thing to do. There were a lot of, I don't know at what point in your life, David, that you were doing this. But in the 80s, there were a lot of singing telegram companies all over New York.
Oh, yes, this was the 90s here, but I think it was a carryover from that, and I think the shop owner had also a shop in New York.
Oh, okay.
Now, let me ask you this. What sort of songs did you sing as a pink gorilla?
I did a lot of Hello, Dolly.
Oh,
because
Richard just beamed right now.
Yes, it was easy to write parody lyrics to Hello, Dolly. And the words for this agency, we always created a parody song that had the person's name in it and embarrassing little details about their life that we would then broadcast at their party or in their office or wherever the telegram was being delivered. So they were a lot of fun.
Now, David, I've already seen the show, obviously, but if you can tell our listeners just a few of the songs that they will hear in your show. Don't give away the entire song list.
Absolutely not.
Oh, absolutely not. But we have a lot of songs I think people will recognize, including Pennies from Heaven, Life is a Bowl of Cherries. I have a wonderful medley that's about 7 songs, if I recall, that all have to do with Lucky. It's a Lucky medley, and the songs people might think of with Lucky in the title are definitely in there. I've got a number in the show called Tchaikovsky and Other Russians that ought to be really tantalizing for those people who are Danny Kaye fans.
Now, where did you get this beautiful attitude? I really have to ask, because so many people don't have let alone positive attitude, but yours is just so gracious. How did you adopt this attitude?
I think it's a pretty complex situation, but I'll try to keep it simple. I was raised, in the country, in the farmland, where most people didn't leave. People didn't get out and change their lives, and I really saw that I wanted to do that, and when I found that I could, that gave me a great sense of gratitude for what I have. I'm also a person in recovery, so this chapter of my life post-recovery really is a tremendous blessing to me, and I choose to be public about it. I choose to talk about it. I think I hope that it encourages other people. Beyond that, I believe that in the power of positive attraction. I believe that my positive attitude brings me good things, and I think my life is kind of proof of that. So I'm going to hang on to all that.
Well, I support you. I think I just fell in love with you.
Yeah,
but
I definitely. Are you single?
That's Annie asking.
I love that. No, because you know what? My mom has always said, yeah, I'm totally saying, hi, what's up? No, but my mom has always said my entire life, what you put out into the world is what you get back. You put out positive energy,
true.
You get it back. So I think that's so beautiful.
Absolutely.
You're such an inspiration. That's wonderful.
So where can, do you have a CD available? Or
we haven't completed the CD.
Okay.
I've been running around the country this year so much I have not been in the studio at all, but we're going to go to the studio in the fall and have that CD done. So at this point, sadly, it's a no. I've got a studio CD and a live CD from a show I did in London 2 years ago, and I'll be happy to sell those in New York.
Definitely. And is there a way for our audience to follow you? Is there a Facebook page or a website?
Absolutely. There's a couple places. I'm very involved in social media. So I'm on Twitter. My handle there is David _Meulemans, MEULEMANS. It happens that there is another man with my name who lives in Belgium who is also very active in social media. So he got to Twitter first.
Okay.
So I have that unconventional setup. he got to Facebook first. So he has David Meulemans on Facebook. I'm David J. Meulemans, middle initial J.
Well,
and my website is, I did get the web domain first, so it's simply davidmeulemans.com.
Okay, and our audience can follow you and look you up on there so we can see of any other upcoming dates. After August 22nd, where will you be?
After August 22nd, I'm actually going to be in the recording studio. I'll be in Florida here for the fourth quarter of the year, October, November, December. We're going to be doing some recording and working on 2 new shows that will be marketed for the cruise lines, and doing a little work on a big kind of a secret project I'm working on just now, but it's going to be really incredible, and we're going to be unveiling that in the springtime.
Well, promise me you'll come back at that point.
I would love it.
That would be our pleasure, our honor.
Yes.
Well, I hope that you, Lisa, and Annie can join me on the 22nd, 7 o'clock show at the Metropolitan Room. And you can order your tickets by going online, calling 212-206-0440.
And as always, you can refer back to our broadcast if you need this information again. And that's www.broadbandboxoffice.com, Talk of the Town. David, I wish you all of the best, all of the blessings that you so richly deserve, and it has been our pleasure to speak with you and get to know you. And I would love to come and see you at the Metropolitan Room. So I'm very certain this is going to be a successful show.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. And yes, please come and see the show. And Richard will tell you about the party afterwards.
Ooh.
Yes.
See, he's neglected to do that so far, so now I've got to pump
Well, I
him.
can't give this over the air. We'll have the place will be packed.
I'll make sure I put on my face for you.
David, God bless, and all of the best with Metropolitan Room. Again, that's August 22nd, 7 p.m. And again, for tickets, 212-206-0440.
Well, David, even though we're going to say till next time with you, keep listening because we've got a lot to talk about.
Oh, yes, we do.
Have a good night, David.
Great. Well, I'll keep you on here. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for inviting me in for a few minutes.
Our
And a
pleasure.
pleasure to talk with you all. Thank you.
Love you. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, you are listening to Talk of the Town on broadbandboxoffice.com. We are on the second Wednesday of every month. Our next show is going to be September 9th, when our guest is going to be Scott Barbarino of the Iridium Room. But we're going to get to a little discussion that 3 of us have been wanting to have for a while. We talk about this bit off. There's been quite a notice in the media about ethics and proper behavior, etiquette in the theater world and at performances. And most notably, there's been quite a lot of attention with the situation with the cell phones and Patti LuPone.
Well, for those who don't know, the announcement is made in the theater for
Yes.
the cell phones to be turned off.
As they should
or
be.
to be
And
silenced.
all electronic devices.
And all electronic devices. And there was, at a recent performance of Patti LuPone's, a woman was sitting very close to the stage, texting while Miss LuPone was on stage.
So rude.
And before Miss LuPone exited the stage, she reached down and snatched the phone out of this woman's hand.
And kept walking.
And kept walking and gave it to the company manager. It was given back to the woman after the show was over. And also, the same week that took place, a young kid went to see Hand to God, a 19-year-old kid who, as he said in his press conference, that he was not used to going to the theater, needed to recharge his iPhone. And he saw an outlet on stage, which was part of the set. It was not an actual working outlet. And he actually went on stage and plugged his phone in.
Or attempted to.
Wow.
Yes.
And it's opened up a Pandora's box in terms of discussing what the ethics are of going to the theater
Now,
nowadays.
see, what I can tell you is that during the summer, I work with a summer camp in Hackensack, New Jersey, and one of the one of the camps, because it's broken out into different age groups and different areas of interest, but one of them is the theater camp. And what they do at the beginning of every summer session is they send home the parents a list of the do's and the don'ts. No one is born knowing how to behave in certain situations. It's what you are exposed to. And I'm trying very hard here to be generous and to be fair and understanding. Okay, if you've never been to a theater before, to a live performance, you probably don't know what is expected of you and what the proper behavior is.
Well, can I ask a question?
Sure.
What is the age group of these kids? That
I
are
will
going to
tell
the
you,
theater?
it is from 11 to 16.
Okay, I disagree with your statement because I believe that by 11 years old, the kids do need to be taught not only how to behave in the theater, but how to behave in any social situation.
Agreed.
I agree with you, but if it's not being done, this letter that's sent home sort of it gives no excuses. So therefore, by sending this letter home, it's right there on paper, black and white. This is what we are expecting of you. We are expecting you to dress properly. What is proper dress? Well, no shorts, no flip-flops. Please dress appropriately for the place that you're going to. How to behave within the theater, when to, obviously no talking, obviously put the cell phones away, but all of the things that if these parents are not taking their children to the theater, and I would wager to bet that most of them are not, this way there's no excuses.
Well, it's very interesting. I think that what's happened is that so many people have, especially those of the baby boomer generation and the next generation, are so used to being in a comfortable mode watching TV from their own home that they are very relaxed in terms of social decorum, in terms of how they would behave when they would go out. And when you go to a movies now, I went to the movies a few weeks ago, and there are reclining chairs.
Oh,
Yes, you're right.
But they're really great. Please don't knock their reclining chairs
No, but
because they're wonderful.
but the other thing is that you go to the movies and there are candy bins.
Yeah.
What do they put the candy in? Cellophane bags.
That's true.
It
is noisy.
It's like the theater
Yeah.
should be stopping this. And I'm sorry. When you go to the theater, go out and have a drink before the show or after the show. Why do people need to bring their drinks into the theater?
They do that at Broadway shows now, which
Yes,
is
they
like
do.
so surprising, and it's happened
they
within
do.
the past maybe 7 or 8 years. Every year. Ever since I was a little girl, my first Broadway show that I've ever saw was Cats when I was 4 years old.
Okay.
Petrified. Okay. Very tall, large cats coming at me. Scary.
Okay.
But I'm glad that my mother had instilled the theater in us and how to behave. Of course, I freaked out. I was 4 years old. She had to bring me outside. That's neither here nor there. We weren't allowed to bring food in or drinks into the theater. And I went to go see Spring Awakening. Oh, man. Back in 2008. And that was the first time I've ever experienced bringing food into a Broadway theater.
Well, I was always under the impression that you didn't do that for the simple reason that you didn't want the theater to get dirty. I
Right.
mean, that's really the way I was taught about it. But
Same with
you're
me.
absolutely right. It's become
Well, several years ago, I went to see Barbara Streisand, and there was a group of people directly in front of me, and the guy said, "I'm going to go get a hot dog." This was during the concert. Barbara Streisand is
While
several
she's
feet
in
away from us.
mid-song?
Mid-song.
She's Barbara Streisand.
And
You don't
he
leave
goes
the
out
theater.
to get food
But not
for
just
everyone
that.
in his group.
Did you need a hot dog that badly
Honestly,
at that moment? Were you
it's-
starving?
It's not a baseball game. This is live theater. Think
Why
about
can't-
all
why
of the
can't-
work.
But what
put
does
into
this
this.
say about us as a society, us as a people, as a culture, that for 2 hours we can't sit still and pay attention?
I'll tell you, immediate gratification. That's what it's come to.
Gluttons. We have a society of gluttons. And the other
Immediate
thing is
gratification.
that theaters are not taking responsibility.
Yes.
Ushers are not house managers. First of all, the ushers are not trained in terms of how to deal with an irate audience member if they are told repeatedly to turn off their cell phone, and they refuse to do so. And you also have to realize that there are so many people going to the theater now who were brought to the theater by husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends who don't even want to be there.
That's true.
And so if they're not invested in what's going on the stage, they are sitting there texting and tweeting and doing whatever. And before I stop, I just want to say there was one producer, and I actually wrote to Actors Equity about this. I was very upset because he actually, in a recent revival of his, had a tweeting section in the theater.
Oh, come on.
And there are, I got into a discussion online with an organization that encourages live tweeting during the performances. Once those doors are open, the
You
floodgates
can't
are open.
close them.
Because
Forget
it's no longer about going to see a story. It's no longer about going to experience the
art.
the product. It's about a spectacle. It's about a spectacle.
Well, everyone wants to have that interactive experience. And the interactive experience for me is listening to what's going on the stage.
Listening and watching.
And applauding and laughing.
Right.
That's the interaction. And in addition to that, I mean, we were speaking about this ourselves, people leaving before the curtain call is over.
One of the worst things.
Yeah.
First of all, anyone who's listening, once you get out of your seats and you start walking or making a beeline for the exit signs, if an actor is still on the stage, that show has not ended.
Correct.
Absolutely.
And, it's very interesting going back to something that you mentioned earlier. Channel 2 did a story in New York last week about the way people are dressing to go to the theater. And here in the summer in New York, people are dressing to go to the theater as if they're going to the beach. And I do believe that once you've relaxed yourself to the extent of not even dressing for the occasion, that there's a sense of not caring.
Right.
But that also that's across the board, because how you dress reflects so much in your behavior. If I'm underdressed for a situation, it just puts me. I would not think about going dressed to work in a pair of shorts and a tank top. I would never even consider something like that. So why would you go to the theater looking like that?
I had a discussion with someone recently, and he said when he goes to the theater, it's all about him and what's going on stage. And I said that's absolutely not the way that the theater was set up.
Right.
The theater is about a collective. Carol Channing once said that in order for a show to succeed, you need doctors, you need lawyers, you need housewives, you need people from this side of the street, and you need people from that side of the street. You need a group of people. But there are universal themes that we've all experienced in all of our lives. We've all dealt with grief in our lives. We've all dealt with funny things.
Right.
So those things, and the three of us can go to the theater, and the two of you may laugh at something that I'm sitting there going, what are they laughing at?
Right.
But it's all about that collective energy that's in the theater.
Right.
And if you're going to go and spend an evening with a group of people, why not respect yourself enough to care about the way you dress and appear when you go
I was just going to say that. I don't mean to cut you off. I think it's a really beautiful statement. It's when you dress respectfully, going anywhere, that means you respect others. And you respect their time,
Yes,
whether
absolutely.
it's going to work, a job interview, going out for dinner, going to the theater. The way you present yourself
Absolutely.
is respect towards others. I care about you. You're spending your time with me. I will put in time to spend time with you as well, and I will be respectful enough to dress up. Like these tickets are not cheap.
Oh God, they're the opposite.
and it's a shame that our
Dress like you're
listeners out
going.
there cannot see that Annie is sitting here wearing a tiara,
I
and
am.
Lisa
I am.
is in pearls,
Yes.
and I'm in a tuxedo. So
Yes.
we want you to know this.
I'm wearing very long silk gloves all the way up to my
We all
shoulders.
look stunning.
I have
here.
diamond rings.
Now, this is a sneaky little plug for myself. I'm in the process of directing a production of Spamalot
Yay.
in Hackensack at the Cultural Arts Center, and the production is going extremely well, and I'm so thrilled with it. And really, that's a very joyous, very happy show. And
It's a fun show.
It's a fun show. And if anybody, Hackensack Cultural Arts Center, 39 Broadway.
It's going to be a laugh.
But the reason I put that in there is because I'm even watching my audience members, and this is local theater. So these are people from, within the, and they certainly did not spend New York prices on tickets, but they're still out for the evening. Now, I do notice that I have an older audience, and they understand dressing.
But, and there's
nicely for
a
the
time and a
theater.
place for everything. If you're going to a summer stock show, for example, and you are in a beach resort, because a lot of summer stock theaters exist in those beach resorts.
Absolutely.
No one expects you to wear a jacket and tie to the theater.
Absolutely
no, but you can
not.
wear a nice shirt, and it's
Throw on a pair of
beyond
shoes.
just the dressing. It's the behavior. Again, unfortunately, there was another situation at this summer camp with another of the groups, and the kids were all the theater camp was putting on their production, and they worked very hard all summer. Now, these are kids who spend their summer putting on a show. They work very hard. The other kids from one of the other camps were sitting there texting.
That's so rude.
And one of the head counselor from the theater camp, she walked over to them and she said, "Put your phones away now." And there was quite an argument out in the hallway between the counselor from that camp, and his answer was, "Well, they won't pay attention anyway, so this way they're at least quiet."
Wow.
And I said, if they can't pay attention for an hour, what does that say?
What are we doing
Well,
with
I'll
our
tell
children
you,
in
the
society?
next level that really blows my mind in terms of going to the theater, and I go to the theater a lot, I see a lot of cabaret shows, is the fact that people are totally oblivious to the people around them.
Right.
That blows my mind.
Yes.
People are selfish.
Men, women, if you're going to wear cologne or perfume, please don't,
Yeah.
Overdo it.
It's too much. And be respectful of the people that are sitting next to you. If people are, I am very quiet when I go to the theater. I want to hear everything that's going on stage. And this idea, going back to what I said earlier about producers
Encouraging tweeting.
encouraging tweeting. If someone is telling a joke and you're sitting there and you're texting or tweeting, you're going to miss the setup or the punchline.
And then they say, "What'd she say?"
What did
Right,
she
that's
say?
exactly what it
Yes.
is. But it's also disrespectful because you know what? These people, we're all performers. We know what it's like to put the work in, and we work hard, and we really bust ourselves. Have respect.
Well,
Understand that
goes back
we did
to what
this
Patti
for
LuPone
you.
says.
We did this
Patti
for you.
LuPone and every other actor and actress on Broadway, they have devoted their lives to this.
Yes.
I mean, and this is for all the listeners out there who want to go into this business.
Right.
It is a tough business.
Yes, it is.
And to do 8 shows a week and to have to be at the theater at such and such a time, not being able to really have a social life.
Right.
Sandra Lee, who was the original Minnie Fay in Hello, Dolly, I interviewed her, and she said, I would do the show, I'd go out, get my sandwich and a pickle, and I'd go home.
Right.
And that was my existence. She was in the show for over a year, and some shows go on for 5, 6, maybe, even longer.
Phantom is 25.
Phantom
at
of the
this
Opera.
point.
yeah.
But is there anyone in Phantom of the Opera who has been in with the show from day one?
I actually don't know.
That is an extraordinary question, Richard, and I would have to Google that because I really do not know. That's an extraordinary question. Don't know the answer
But
to
these
that.
people have devoted their lives to being there to give you the best experience, especially at the prices that we're all paying to go to the theater.
it's
now.
so
I think
expensive.
what the problem is because a while back I was in a direct sales company where I did in-home demonstrations, and I would stand there with my products behind me, and I would talk and demonstrate the products. Do you know, I would have women who were sitting no further away than you are to me right now, which is an arm's length away, who would talk over me across to the woman across the room because something occurred to her that she had to tell her friend right then
Oh, I've
and
seen
there.
it happen.
And I'm standing there. Now, when it first happened to me, the theater actress in me was quite offended. How dare you speak while I'm speaking? And then all of a sudden it started to, I started to understand. This is a television generation where if you start to talk while the TV is on, those actors don't mind. They really don't care. It's that inexperience of being around a live performance.
But if I go to a restaurant and there's a piano player there, and it's a piano player who is also a singer, I'm very uncomfortable being there unless I've gone specifically to see that person. I do not go into a restaurant to have dinner with my friends who I want to engage in conversation with if there's going to be someone who's performing there as well. And the point that I'm trying to make is that I'm very uncomfortable because I do not want to be rude
Right,
to that
absolutely.
person who's sitting there singing.
Because we also know what it's like. Like I go back to performing and preparing, and we work hard and we know how it feels.
Absolutely, I think it's probably more difficult in your field, Annie, with
comedy.
Yes, because it's sometimes. I think that it's almost a challenge to some people to heckle the comedian to see if they can get your goat.
I don't get heckled as much anymore because I don't give them the opportunity. But I do. So a couple of weeks ago, I was doing a show. I was very excited about the show. A lot of my friends came out because they lived in the area. It was beautiful. Great show. But a friend brought another friend that I had never met before, and this was her first comedy show ever. Okay, she had never been to a comedy show before. I don't even think that she's ever seen live theater, to be honest with you. She was so rude in that she was texting the entire show. And I didn't say anything to her, but I was on stage and I saw her texting and she was in the front and it was distracting to me.
Yes, of course it is.
Well, the next time that happens, you just simply say, "Are you texting about the show?"
Yeah.
Because if
Are you tweeting about me?
If you're tweeting about me, keep tweeting, because at the end of my routine, we're going to share your tweets with the audience.
That's what I should have done.
That's what you do.
It was just blatant rudeness. It was amazing to me. This woman's in her 30s.
It's unfortunate, but we've.
It's amazing.
I take the calls. If a cell phone goes off and I'm on the stage,
that's
I go
beautiful.
stop the music.
I should
walk
do
into
that.
the audience. I take the phone. I've had conversations
As Carol?
as when I was
That's
performing
wonderful.
as Carol. I mean, I'm not performing as Carol anymore.
Yeah,
but,
when you were.
I would be on the phone and I'd go, "This is Carol Channing. Why are you interrupting my show?" And people were like,
Was it the
"Who am I
babysitter?
talking to?" Oh my God, I saw you in Hello Dolly. Oh, well, in those days we didn't have cell phones, so you don't understand the problems that we deal with nowadays. So I would always get them every single time.
I love that. That's wonderful.
That's wonderful. Okay. Final thoughts, because unfortunately our time is just about up.
I just have so many things to say. I'm not going to even say them because we're going to be here all night.
Yes, so give us one.
Yeah, don't be rude. Dress right. It doesn't have to be $1 million. Go to TJ Maxx on sale. It doesn't take a lot. Throw shoes on, tie your laces, comb your hair.
Richard.
My final thought is go see David Meulemans.
Yes.
On
Absolutely.
August 22nd, 7 p.m., the Metropolitan Room in Manhattan.
There you go.
Okay. And I guess my final thought is, let's try and enjoy life and let's be present in the moment. That text, that tweet, that whatever, it can wait.
Yes.
Especially if you're driving.
Oh, dear
Yes.
God, yes. But that's
Oprah
that's
says
another
don't.
show.
Another show.
That's another show. But be present in the moment. Life will pass you by. Try and at least get some enjoyment out of the people that you've paid to entertain you. So, all right. So with that being said, lots of good things coming for this show. We're going to be expanding in the very near future. But next month, September 9th, Scott Barberino. This is Lisa Dascoli.
Annie Weiss.
And Richard Skipper.
On Talk of the Town, broadbandboxoffice.com. See you soon.